So what is limited liability? There are loads of different types of ownership. Private limited companies are companies where there are shares. The company can sell shares to shareholders, and they all have LTD or limited at the end of their name. Advantages of this is, well, there are many, but limited liability is one of the biggest. Limited liability means that if the company goes bankrupt or has debts it can't pay, the owners don't have to sell their houses, sell all their assets to pay the debts off. The debts are limited to the company rather than extending to the individuals associated with the company. Disadvantages of this are there's an upfront fee to register with Companies House when you're starting a private limited company, but the benefits are very, very large relative to the cost of that fee. The suffix that follows the name of a private limited company is LTD, so it's usually a capital L, then a T, then a D. Features of private limited companies, well, the shareholders have limited liability instead of unlimited liability. All shareholders must agree to sell shares, and you have to publish accounts every year, either with HMRC or filing to Companies House. Public limited companies are companies that sell their shares on a stock exchange. Firms often become public companies when they want to expand or grow. So in 2017, Snapchat, which is owned by, well, it's incorporated and called Snap Inc. in America, went through a flotation on a stock exchange and it became a public limited company. The advantages of becoming a public limited company, selling shares on the stock exchange allows companies to raise more money. People like the general public can buy shares in them, and the shareholders keep the limited liability because the company is a limited company. Disadvantages, some people say financial markets and stock exchanges lead to very short-termist behavior. Anyone at all can buy the shares. It's a public market, and all the company's accounts are public, so other competitors can find out what you're doing. So a private limited company has restricted ownership of shares. A public limited company has shares publicly traded on a stock exchange. Public limited companies find it easier to raise capital from banks. Yes, that's true. Anyone can buy a company if they can afford the shares, and owners have less of a say over how a business is run. So how does unlimited liability work versus limited liability work? Sole traders and partnerships have unlimited liability, and they are responsible for the debts of their business, their practice. Limited liability would stop them having that. So often a business may start off as an unlimited liability sole trader and then over time evolve to become a limited company. Why do companies try to become incorporated? It's easy and cheap to retain more employees to make it easier to get a bank loan, I'd say. That's probably the most sensible option. It's a lot easier to get a bank loan if you're an incorporated company. Businesses with unlimited liability are easier to set up because you don't need to incorporate to start that. Which type of company do you think would be easiest to get a loan? Sole trader, partnerships, or private limited company? Sole traders and partnerships have unlimited liability, so it's likely to be a private limited company that would find it easier to get a bank loan. So flotation happens when a public company and shares are made available to buy on a stock exchange. This is what Snapchat did in 2017. It's what Facebook did a lot earlier. And in 2019, apparently Lyft, Pinterest, and Uber are going to float on a US stock exchange. Why do most private limited companies become public limited companies? Well, not every private limited company does become public limited. But it does help you raise capital. So whether it's in equity or in bank loans and debt, it does become easier over time. And then you become a public limited company that sells shares on a stock exchange. That's everything on limited liability. Put it in Indonesia. Good stuff.